Your mission is at its end. Ouroboros is on the eve of its appearance.
Weskerbeard Part 3. And if you haven't seen the previous parts, that link always in the description for you. Now then, you lot, I'm back again, and I'm happy to be writing Part 3 of my story for you all. Hopefully this time I can get it uploaded. Much love for the help, Dayton. So let's get this all started then. I'm happy to help. I don't know why Reddit is a poo head sometimes. So from what I mentioned prior was a beard nest that was getting ridiculously out of control, but I will only be able to tell you what I experienced from visits to it, as I didn't like staying in Tramp Town for too long. So user Sapphire Skies has decided to start writing her tales of living with Weskerbeard. So on to the story. And yes, I am trying to match them up. So like it will be 2 part 3s in this part 3 video, but it's from 2 different perspectives. I think it's really interesting. So when I had visited the house last, I got a good system shock, but I kept talking to them both, even though I tried to be a good friend to Weskerbeard. I tried not to judge them at the time, as you all know the metaphor of a book and its cover. Well, I was sure to soon get another system shock on a following visit to the nest, sort of like the one you get on BioShock with your first plasmid. Oh yeah, I remember. You shoot fire or something, right? Or it's electricity. Never mind. This starts with me visiting Sapphire and Weskerbeard at his parents' home. I entered the nest, greeting its inhabitants, and headed upstairs, where we spent some time until later in the night. Then, that night, when Weskerbeard turned off his PlayStation 3, he scooted across the bed and stood in the middle of the room, looking like he was thinking of what to say. And then he turned to look at the both of us. We were either drawing comic sketches or reading memes on our laptop. We could tell that he was fidgety, like the type when you want to just get down to business. Weskerbeard chose this as a good time to blurt out, "I'm getting bored." Sapphire, well, why don't you do something then? You know, I tell my kids when they say they're bored, I tell them to sweep the floor. Weskerbeard stood for a few seconds. Then, like I mentioned, he blurted out, "Why don't you blow me and Mick?" Boy.
Who the starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
Yeah, we just hit the ground running today. I don't even. That is unfortunate. And I kid you not, I went whiter than snow as Sapphire snapped at him with a few choice words that I can't remember, unfortunately. I was slightly panicking at the bluntness of his statement, but I came to find out later on that I wasn't the first one that he had tried this with. He'd been trying to get her to have a 3-way with his best friend from the first story. Sapphire called him Anime Boy. Well, Sapphire didn't want any of this, as she liked me at school, but when getting with Weskerbeard, she had put all thoughts of me and her out of her head, and this would be overstepping boundaries for her. Oh, that's the part that's stepping over boundaries. Okay, sure. Weskerbeard sheepishly went quiet, so I chose not too long after this to be a good time to just mosey on home. And when I got back home, I had a message waiting for me from Sapphire, telling me more about how he had done that prior, and apologizing for his actions, as she didn't want this to get in the way of her friendship with me. Well, when we met up again, next, it had been a couple of days, so it again annoyed me to find out that Sapphire had been asked again, between now and then, to have a threes-up, and she had turned him down again. Well, when I was invited out this time, it was to a party at Weskerbeard's cousin, who will be Weskerbeard's cousin for this story, WBC. He was a cheerful redhead, who I would describe like a Pixar character, especially when it came to the lower half, if you know what I mean. I have no idea what you mean. I'm not trying to be rude, just descriptive. That's not very descriptive. From first meeting her, she was really nice to be around, so we headed out and picked up a few drinks from the local store and headed back to her place. So me, Sapphire, Weskerbeard, and Anime Boy all showed up for a little house party, and we drank and played Guitar Hero for that night, And thankfully, Weskerbeard didn't misbehave, but this wouldn't be the last of them, as on one of the following get-togethers, Anime Boy, who swore blind he knew Chinese, Japanese, and Russian, had brought some whiskey for us all to do shots, and this is where his foot fit into his mouth quite adeptly, as Sapphire decided to test him by simply saying, Sapphire, ni hao, Anime Boy.
Are you sure you want to say that to me?
It is hello. He spoke this phrase with an accusatory tone, as if she had just insulted his ancestors or some crap, to which she retorted, yes, I do want to say hello, she said with a Cheshire Cat grin on her face that made Anime Boy go quiet. I snickered as I threw back my shot. I mean, honestly, he's the dude that lied about being an assassin, right? So, lying about knowing languages he doesn't know? Yeah, I can't be shocked by that. Now, reader, not to come across as big-headed here, but me and Sapphire both got the feeling that Weskerbeard's cousin had a thing for me. As when we were talking, all I mentioned was that I did some weight training at the gym, and Weskerbeard's cousin asked if I could hold her too, which I shrugged and said, I don't know, maybe. To which she said, well, let's see then. And she readied herself up by holding onto my shoulders and then jumped up, wrapping her legs around my waist with a grunt until I got my footing and stood there holding her with my hands under her thighs. You got a boner, didn't you? Had to flip it up into the old belt. Yeah, we all know that trick. Sapphire mentioned that as I did that, Anime Boy watched on with a bit of green envy in his eyes, as he liked Weskerbeard's cousin and didn't like how she was giggling and holding on to me, and she stepped down and continued to laugh, and Anime Boy chose this to be the time that he offered the same challenge to her as well. So she did the same thing, readying up and leapt onto him the same way she did with me, until about 2 seconds in, with his face going red, he fell forwards onto the sofa with her holding on, still laughing her head off, and he got up off of her taking a few breaths. We had a good laugh that night. Guess you had to be there, bro. You're super strong and stuff. That's cool. Not too soon, and one taxi ride later, I was heading home with the makings of a hangover and the need to use the toilet. Well, in my absent-mindedness, I had forgotten that I was painting my room the next day. So when I woke up, I didn't check my phone that apparently had been bombarded with texts from Sapphire, who wanted to check in on me. And when she couldn't, she tracked me down from me telling her my address, and with the help of a Google Maps search, she found my house. This woman tracked me down, like an escaped convict who was on the loose. Bro, what? That doesn't concern you a little bit? Were you super double plus drunk? She thought you aspirated vomit in your sleep or something? Or is this just, I don't know, man. I got questions. Not too long after, there was a knock at the door. My mom shouted up to me that I had visitors, so I headed to the front door where Sapphire and Weskerbeard were stood. Sapphire was happy to see that I was all right and chewed my ear off for not answering her back, while Weskerbeard was panting slightly from the walk, and from what I was told, he didn't even want to go for the walk to see if I was okay, but he did because Sapphire wanted to make sure, and she was going with or without him. So Weskerbeard had stepped away for a smoke, so Sapphire and I followed him up and had a chat about things and set up a day to meet up and hang out. But before she left, she passed me a bottle of Dr. Pepper that she bought me as a gift and hugged me, and then was on her way. I watched her walk off with Weskerbeard trailing along after her, not in a good mood, so I went back to painting my room, a nice gunmetal gray. Anyhow, I don't want to put much up here, so I'm gonna leave it for now. Hope y'all have a good day. Your OP, Mick. Gunmetal gray? Dr. Pepper? What? What just happened? What? It's hey, you're okay, right? You want to hang out? Yeah, but not today, apparently. All right, see you later. Not that much cringe. Still feels a bit self-congratulatory. A little bit disjointed, but it is what it is. I've decided to take this ride with OP, so we're riding all the way. Now let's flip over and see Sapphire's perspective with Living with Weskerbeard, part number 3. Living with Weskerbeard, part number 3. I just said that. Hello again, I'm back with Living with Weskerbeard, part number 3. If you didn't know where you are, you do now. This part will focus more on the house and the family, since part 2 was lacking and I went off on a tangent. A quick note regarding part 2. All events that happened in part 2 were over the course of a few months. I forgot to space it and time it out properly. Yeah, that's fine. I like the Cliff Notes version. You good. Cast is still the same. If any new characters need to be added, I shall add them as they turn up, so let's get into it. So, after I was kicked out of my parents, after one of many rocky patches, I moved in to the Neckbeard nest. I struggled past the clothed mountain that spilled downstairs with my boxes of things. Weskerbeard reluctantly helped me take my snake's vivarium upstairs, complaining that it was heavy. It wasn't, but I didn't want to risk tripping up over anything with her in there. We got upstairs and I realized that there was really nowhere to put her. Weskerbeard, but she could go up there. He said this, looking at a chest of drawers that was buried under litter, cans, more cigarette butts, and ash, and I looked from it to him. OP, do you mind if I leave her and the vivarium on the bed while I sort it out for her? Weskerbeard, no need. It won't take long, he said, as he swept the entire lot onto the floor. Yeah, that's cleaning. That's efficiency. Are we sure this is a good environment for our little noodle child to grow up in? That snake is secondhand smoking at least like 3-4 packs a day. The trash all spilled into Weskerbeard's space between the drawers and the bed, and the space between it and the wardrobe, and I watched as everything was then coated with the cloud of ash that followed it. Ugh. Living hell. Don't unpack those boxes. Take them home now. Apologize to your father. Hello, man. It's not worth it. But they all gonna fly the nest at some point, I guess. Weskerbeard says, there. She could go up there now. OP, do you have like a damp cloth so I could give the top a little clean off? He sort of huffed and looked like I had grown not just a second, but a third head. A mix of confusion came over him as he looked at me as if I was going to change my mind. Weskerbeard, I just cleared it off for you. That should be okay. Jesus Christ. The beginning of the relationship, and already we just don't give a damn. Here's your sign. Get out now. Now my snake's viv was in reality a fish tank, so all sides were glass, and I didn't want anything to dig in and crack the bottom of it and hurt Shawnee, and I told Weskerbeard as much. He grumped again and wandered off to get a cloth. A few minutes later, he came back, wringing a wet tissue paper, dripping it into the room. Tissue? Wet tissue, that'll clean it. Weskerbeard, Mom said we didn't have any cloths, so this'll have to do, he said, handing it to me. I took the paper, which broke up almost instantly, and nodded to thank him. I cleaned up the top of the drawers, the paper mushing up and turning an ash gray as I ran it over the top. This is a disaster, bro. Why don't you get some of the dirty clothes off the floor? Just go out in the hallway, pick up a shirt, definitely not a sock or pants because we knows what happens to those in this house, but use the shirt to clean the top. Nobody's gonna miss it. How are alarm bells not screaming in your head at this point? I'll be out of here so fast. OP says, hey, sorry to be a pest, but could you get me some dry paper? Weskerbeard, why? OP, so I can dry off the top. I don't want any mold or mildew to start up from any damp patches. Like, I love that you care about the snake this much and having her a clean place to live and exist. But no matter how much you clean the top of that dresser, she's still existing inside the beard nest. There's no way to live for a snake or a human. Again, he huffed as if I had sent him to retrieve the golden fleece or something. He came back and I finished the job. He stood in the middle of the room and watched as I moved the tank to the drawers before retrieving my other boxes. You really just set on this, okay? I guess we gotta make our own mistakes. I should have probably described the room in part 1 in a bit more detail, but it slipped my mind, as I was mostly describing how we met. So, although it's a bit late, I will describe his room now. Weskerbeard's room, from what I could gather, used to be like a pale teal color. Keywords, used to be. His side of the room had writing on the wall from however many years ago, in pale red, now a rusty orange color, were written in the top left corner the words S Club 7 rules with a Z. That's adorable. There were other random scrawlings that I couldn't make out all over the place. Next to the head of the bed were 2 random brown rectangles of paper. Oh no, it's just like Chris Trucker. He's trying to construct the Coom Golem. Destroy it before it's too late, OP! OP, confused, asks, what are those supposed to be? Weskerbeard, sounding amused. Oh, those? They're pictures from Silent Hill. It's funny because the wall's eating them. OP, even more confused. They're just brown rectangles. And the wall is eating them? What are you talking about? Weskerbeard. Well, I did have drawing pins in them. And then the picture disappeared, so I tried to take them down. But they're stuck in the wall. And I can't get them off. I don't think that's funny. I think that's weird, sad, concerning. Somebody get the scraper. Where's the scraper? Daddy needs it. I said nothing as I kicked the can away from my foot into the pile of trash between his and his brother's TV setups. Took a moment to catch a break from the moving, and I sat on his bed, which was uncomfortable as heck. I got up to make sure that I hadn't sat on anything. Nothing under me, so I pulled back the pale blue blanket to make sure there wasn't anything under that either. Under the blanket was a filthy, coverless duvet. Brown splotches of several shades lay across the bed, and I shot him another look. Weskerbeard. Yeah, it's an old cover. That's why there's a blanket on the bed. Yeah, when the blanket gets dirty, you just throw another one on there. You're disgusting. Just tell me that's not poop. I want you to say it with your mouth right now. OP continues, now you might have thought that that would be it, but would you be surprised to find out that it wasn't? Again, in the search to find out what the hell I had sat on, I pulled back that 50 Shades of Brown duvet and came across the carcass of what I think used to be a mattress. The poor thing was threadbare, holes that you could lose a hand in. It had springs poked up in awkward places. Dude, at this point, just sleep on the floor. Weskerbeard. Don't worry about that. It's not too bad if you leave the duvet over it. Dude, this is pathetic. What are you doing? I sighed and shook my head as he started to recover the mattress in the duvet, like a spider wrapping its prey back up again. OP? Yeah, when we get a chance, you need to get another one. That's a fair suggestion, OP. Better than the floor, because the floor belongs to the trash now, apparently. Weskerbeard. I mean, I would get another one, but I don't have any money right now. Yeah, maybe stop buying video games for half a second. He picked up a shriveled, dark mud-colored sack up off the floor and threw it towards the head end of the bed. Weskerbeard. Can't sleep without that. OP, what the hell is that? Weskerbeard. It's a pillow that I had ever since I was little. I don't want to get rid of it. It's really comfy. Disgusting. Has it ever been washed? Tell me no more. I can't stand it. He climbed onto the bed and lay down, propping himself up on his left side as he turned on the PlayStation 3 that he had borrowed. He grabbed a bag from behind his TV and drug it around and pulled out some tab ends. He proceeded to rip into them and made a roll-up, scattering ash and tobacco bits all over the blanket. It's fine, just shake it off onto the floor, I guess. Tab ends. I guess that's cigarette butts or something, right? I like how we learn a little bit of new slang and language every day. I sat resting back against the wall, contemplating if all this was really worth it. It's not, but go off, I guess. Due to my crappy home life at the time, I had self-exterminatus thoughts that were slowly creeping back in with a newfound depression. Yeah, I'm sure surroundings like this, that's really gonna help you out. I'm sorry, I get it. But your parents, no matter how overbearing they might seem, could be better people to lean back on than a neckbeard in a time like this. Anyways, those thoughts were interrupted by Hog shouting upstairs. She called for Weskerbeard, Rage Baby, Hermit, and myself. Weskerbeard, "Hey, sounds like tea's ready. You wait here. I'll bring both of ours up." I pushed up from the wall, my shirt peeling off of it. The nicotine-stained wall had stuck to my shirt in the few minutes that I had been sat there. It made a quiet sound as it came away from the wall. Oh, so the Silent Hill pictures weren't like, the house wasn't eating them, they were plastered to the wall with tar. Much like OP will be if she stays here any longer. I looked back and pulled at the shoulder of my shirt to check. Luckily, I don't know how, but nothing was on my shirt. At least nothing visible. The door opened and Weskerbeard came in with 2 small plates, dessert plate sized. Sat on the plate were 2 small crumpets / pikelets. Weskerbeard sat back in the spot that he was in before leaving and began watching a random Let's Play on YouTube. If Weskerbeard wasn't playing games, well, he was watching people play games. Occasionally he'd watch something different. He'd watch like some YouTube poops, the one with random King of the Hill clips with obnoxious sound clips played over them. Oh yeah! I played those for the people on live streams sometimes. I love a good King of the Hill YouTube poop. Hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will because you've listened pretty far. Also, check out the Twitch. As mentioned, I live stream sometimes. Come hang out with us. See how the sausage is made. Anyways, OP finishes her tea and made a conscious effort to sit slightly away from the wall, a bed spring poking into my thigh, as I shifted, trying to get as comfy as I could. Once Weskerbeard had finished with his food, he put the plates on the floor and began playing on the PlayStation 3 until its owner, Lodger, eventually came back for it. I thought that maybe at this point Weskerbeard might attempt to spend some time with me, but instead he began rummaging around behind the TV with more wires, and yeah, on came the Xbox 360 again. Dude, come on, man. Here's your sign, right? This is as good as the relationship is ever going to get. He ain't ready, but I guess you'll learn that eventually. He moved back into the same place again and lit a cigarette that he had stolen from Hog while she had her back turned. OP, so what are you gonna do now? I asked, making an attempt to start up some kind of conversation with him. He looked away from the screen briefly and looked in my direction. Weskerbeard, Mass Effect 2. It's a game set in space. I just got fish for my room on it. The fish are really weird on it, though. OP, are they alien fish or something? Weskerbeard, no, they just eat from their own arses. OP, what? Weskerbeard, I'll show you when it loads up. They swim backwards and eat from their butt. But other than that, they look like normal fish. Yeah, almost like Weskerbeard almost looks like a normal human being, almost. Almost! The game loaded, he went to his room on Mass Effect 2, and he showed me the fish. They didn't eat with their behinds. He kept arguing that they did. I looked at the fish, and then at him. OP, it's a fake eye. Weskerbeard, what is? OP, the big black dot. That's not their face, that's the tail end. They're just normal fish. Weskerbeard wasn't hearing any of it and just said, whatever, if you say so, before carrying on with his game. Well, that was almost a human interaction, almost. I got up off the bed to use the bathroom. I opened his bedroom door and looked at the makeshift blanket curtain that hung in the bathroom's doorway. They don't even have a real door, bro. This whole family's just a mess. It was dark in there, so I headed in. The reason why there was no door on the bathroom, well, it was a mystery to me. Weskerbeard had told me that it had been like that for years. And nobody does anything? Buy a new door? Something? Wait, why is everybody in this house choosing to live this way? They had knocked through from the bathroom into the storage cupboard next to it, and this was so they could install a shower into the bathroom. Yeah, how often you think that shower gets used? The resulting work meant that the bathroom door no longer sat in how it should, and now it was too small for the frame. So rather than fixing the issue, it was easier and cheaper to just nail a blanket into the doorway that hung a foot off the ground. You could literally, like, see people peeing. This is so uncomfortable. What happens if somebody's laying on the bed? You just looking at somebody's dong? I made sure that the door was covered as well as I could before I even thought about using that toilet. I got a few squares of paper and pulled the seat down. Go to the gas station. Dude, it's not worth all this. The wooden seat crunched as the hinges moved. Dark, damp, urine-soaked wood chips flecked up as the seat lay flat. Oh, God! My spine, dude. The seat's been up so long, you put it down and it cracked? It's got just old pea cake there. Okay, I gotta stop. Gross myself out. I looked at it as it wobbled loosely on its hinges, and I debated if it was even safe to use. It's not. Please back away. The seat was one of several problems that I had with it. It was thick with brown limescale in the bowl, limescale being only one of the brown stains which I faced. The outside of the bowl was stained with yellow streaks of many a missed target. I opted to leave it and snuck off downstairs to use the other bathroom because I had seen that one was in a lot better condition. And it had, you know, actually a lockable door on it. Yeah, now we're living the high life. We got not just the door, but one that locks. Woo-wee! Sign me up. Eventually you are gonna have to use that bathroom in the middle of the night. You're gonna have to do like the old hover hiney, you know? Don't let anything touch it, just pop a squat. Weskerbeard asks, what took you? He asked once I had come backstairs. I just looked at him and said I had gone downstairs instead. Weskerbeard, you could use the one up here if you want. You don't need to keep going downstairs. Yes, I do. OP, I really don't mind going down. Plus, I can use the door. Yes, the one functional door. Weskerbeard, no one will go in there. They'll see if someone's in there if the lights are on. Yeah, honesty policy, sure, why not? I left it as is and decided to just go play on my laptop because Weskerbeard was still on his Xbox. I went on Facebook and played a few of my own games on there, Farmville. I needed to do something to take my mind off of everything. Ah yes, the endless vertical scroll shall surely ease my sorrows. And yes, hours went by, and it began to get late, so I got changed and attempted to get some rest. Weskerbeard, however, stayed on his game. I woke up the next morning, moving, trying to avoid the potholes in the mattress. I looked over at Weskerbeard, and he was laid there, mouth open, his cig-blackened teeth on full display. He was still dressed from the day before, and he hadn't bothered to get changed. I nudged him to wake him up, or at least for him to move aside a little bit. Him falling asleep in his clothes is like the least offensive thing about this entire story. As I waited for him to move, I saw something. I watched him a little longer, and my suspicion was confirmed. I sat up quick and glared at him. Several head lice ran through his hair. I watched as they wandered through his sideburns and towards his beard. I jabbed him hard to wake him up, suddenly feeling all itchy myself. No, me too, psychosomatically, right now. I hate the lice, man. Weskerbeard. What is it? OP. You could have told me you had nits. Weskerbeard. No, I don't. OP. I've just watched some. Taking a tour of your face, Weskerbeard. Weskerbeard. I can't feel anything. I stared at him with a glare, watching. I saw one and I made a grab at it. Weskerbeard. What are you doing? OP. If you don't have head lice, what the hell is that? I snapped, poking it against his palm. He looked at it and flicked it to the floor. Weskerbeard. I don't know how I got it. It doesn't really matter because now OP's got it. And it doesn't matter how many times you treat it because the whole house has got it. We have to burn it to the ground, dude. It's the only way to fix this is to burn it down and start over. If Weskerbeard and his family were all inside when it happened, well, I'm not gonna ask too many questions. I got up and grabbed some of my clothes to go and get changed. I couldn't and wouldn't get changed in Weskerbeard's room, since Mania Beard was laying in the bed at the opposite side of the room. Once I was changed, I came back into Weskerbeard's room and looked at him. He was propped up again on his left-hand side, the tab end bag sitting in front of him as he made another roll-up. OP, I'll be back soon. Weskerbeard. Where are you going? OP, to the shops. I need a comb. Weskerbeard. Why? OP, why? I don't want them things in my hair. Weskerbeard. I'll come with you. I need some emerge. I ran out. Oh, is that why you never emerged from your adolescence, Weskerbeard? You just ran out. You didn't have the energy to be a functional human being. I'm sorry. And as far as it goes with OP, you can comb them out, but guess what? That night, they're moving right back in. In case we had forgotten, OP says Emerge is a cheap energy drink that we have in some of our shops. You can get 4 250 ml cans for about £1 here. Weskerbeard would buy about 8 cans of this energy drink and usually finish them within the day. 2 liters, bro? These poor kidneys, man. Where did the cans end up, I wonder? On the floor? I used to drink them from time to time, but Weskerbeard was all too happy to tell me about a special ingredient that all energy drinks had. Taurine. And he would happily gloat that taurine came from bull sperm. I mean, it doesn't. Is that why you drink so much? Weird flex, but okay. OP, before you get any of them drinks, I'm getting a comb. Weskerbeard whining. But OP, if you don't want to brush them out, you could always shave your hair off so it doesn't take so long, but I am getting a comb. Weskerbeard. Fine, I'll shave it later. But he never did shave it later. Taking bets. He followed me downstairs, grabbing that tattered trench coat before heading out the door. We got back a little while later, and I left him with Judgy Beard to shave his hair, while I went to sort out my own. Luckily, only a few of his pets made it to me, and I freed myself of them before going back in to see how he and Judgy Beard were getting on. Weskerbeard stood in the kitchen. He looked tidier now that his hair had been dealt with. I handed Weskerbeard a comb and left him to it. I'm surprised he's going along with it. I thought he'd just be like, I want to play video games. Luckily, after keeping on top of his little pets for about a week or so, we never had another issue with them after that. Huh, well, I guess it's just that easy. You just wait for the bed bug infestation then. That one will never end with all the clothes on the floor. Hog came over from the other side of the room after Weskerbeard finished shaving his head. She pushed the space clear on the counter so she had a workspace. Hog. Now that y'all finished messing about, Weskerbeard, I can do tea. Get your mess cleared up and get out of the way. Weskerbeard. What are you doing for tea? Hog. Salad. I was expecting her to say butter and sketty. We're making some butter and sketty. Salad actually sounded pretty good, especially after the 2 crumpets from the night before. I offered to help, but Hog sort of ignored me and called Rage Baby down instead. I don't know how, but they did manage to screw up a simple salad. It was a few bits of shredded, wilting yellow lettuce, a sad, soft tomato, a ton of raw onion, some thin, damp sandwich wafer ham, and 2 little slices of cheese, one white and one orange. This came with a cheap, stale sausage roll. I mean, yeah, it's gross, but also they're feeding you, so... I don't know how critical we could actually be of it. Hog says to Rage Baby, "I'll do a cucumber in a minute. I'm struggling to get its condom off of it." And Weskerbeard, of course, thought this was hilarious and began repeating what she had said to Judgybeard and to Hermit. And this repetition annoyed Rage Baby, who eventually snapped at Weskerbeard. Rage Baby, "Shut the hell up, Weskerbeard! It wasn't that funny!" Weskerbeard, "I was only telling them what she said." Rage Baby, "You keep going on about it." Hog, "Stop arguing, both of you. Weskerbeard, take your tea and screw off upstairs with it, instead of arguing with Rage Baby." Me and Weskerbeard headed off upstairs with our, food, and he watched yet another Let's Play. Still really intent on making this happen, LP? Do we still really want to be here? I think I'll leave it here for now, as this one's gone on for a bit longer than I thought it would. So thanks to y'all for reading this far. I do have more stories. I stuck out the nest for just under 2 years after all, so I'll get them out ASAP. Bye for now. 2 years? How did you survive, honestly? You gotta go to McDonald's a lot. After 2 days, this 2-day description, it felt like forever. It felt like I'm actively in a living hell. I would have gone back to my parents so fast, but like, look, I'm so sorry. But I understand wanting to fly the nest. The dad, admittedly, is a little overbearing, but I haven't seen him do anything that's like completely insane quite yet, so I don't know. If we're comparing the two situations here, parents' house wins out like quite easily. 2 years, bro. Yeah, just take out insurance policies on the whole family and start like leaving little piles of paper around and dropping lit cigarettes into them and just see what happens, you know? Let nature take its course, you know? I'm not signing off on any of that. But it's an idea. Maybe next time. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, like, comment, sub, do all the things. Thank you so much. Share the video around if you wanna. We got all kinds of links in the description. TikTok, Twitter, Discord. I'm all over the internet, honestly. We've also got my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous Patreon patrons and YouTube channel members. I'd like to thank them very much, as I do, but in the next video. Haha, got him. I hope you'll join us again tomorrow, friends. Take care of yourselves out there. Wash your hands. And of course, always remember that you are loved, you are worthy. You definitely deserve it. And I shall see you in the next one. So until then, friends, bye-bye.
It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.